Hello, I'm Robert Charles, and today I thought I'd teach you how to do, or demonstrate how to do a nice lighthouse. This is a New England lighthouse. I've spent a lot of time in New England, and I really enjoy doing them, so I think this will be a fun little painting for you. Here are the supplies, the materials we're going to use. There's a rough sketch of what we're going to do. Here's our nice lighthouse. We're going to use a flat brush. We're going to use a round number 6 brush, a rigger brush, or a liner brush. The watercolor paints that we'll be using will be indigo, sepia, quinaxium red, cad yellow, phthalo blue, hooker's green, and dioxazine purple, maybe a little bit of white, titanium white, or gouache. So those are your colors. If you don't have the quinaxiums, you could just use a regular red, and you just improvise the colors that you have. Use your yellows, and indigo is kind of a gray blue. So those are our colors. So I'm going to set my little guy down here, and we'll see what we have underneath. So as you can see, I have a sketch made already. It's a very light sketch, so we can build from there. And then I'm going to just begin wetting the paper so our colors will flow a little bit easier. I have a little bit of a tint of a green on there. I'm going to just start going and just building a little bit of blue in here in this sky area. This is a phthalo blue. Put that across the center of the sky here. I'm going to go with a little bit of a cad yellow in the center. I don't want that to be touching our blue because it'll turn green. But I'm going to put a little bit of color in the center here. On top of that, I'll throw in your red. We'll let that bleed into the yellow. Pull that across. A lot of times I will take the lighthouse and put some masking fluid over it to protect the whites. We're just going to, in this case, just build around it. But a lot of times I'll do that. Either tape it or use masking fluid. Okay. I'm going to strengthen the top portion. I've got a little bit of violet into that upper portion just to make it a little more interesting. I'm really just sealing in my buildings with sky. Watercolors dry lighter, so we'll have to keep on reinforcing values into the sky as it dries. Here I'm putting that violet back up in here. I want to make sure my corners particularly are a little bit darker, because that'll draw the viewer's eye down into your painting. Add a little more red into it. Now, if you wanted to build a little bit of a cloud pattern in here, you would take a tissue, or you could take a tissue and just touch your color while it's still wet. That'll give us a little bit of a cloud pattern. Almost like a shelf cloud in this case. So I'm going to come down into my lower portion. And I'm going to put a base cad yellow down in here also to begin with. This I'm just kind of sealing the paper. I'm just starting to think about the lay of the land here. It's on a little bit of a hill. This is very light, so it'll need some stronger values, but this is just our beginning. And we'll come up top here. This off. Okay, this will just suggest a little bit of a field, but we're going to do a lot more work on that portion. Now I think I'll begin. I have the same colors down here on the table that I'm using. I have on the side here also that I'll show you some of the colors that we're mixing. So I'm taking a little cad yellow, and I have a little bit of a cad orange. So I think this is going to be my roof. Oh, I think that's a pretty color. These will be the top of our buildings. Okay. This little awning here is a little bit darker. We'll have some posts. Just using the side of this flat brush. It's going to be a window. We'll add another value to the top of this roof. Lightly touching the sky to soften it. Strengthening the corners again. I'm going to take some clear water and just pull down a little bit of value into the buildings. We'll get some more of our orangey color and just finish this piece of roofing off. Put another value on these lower ones. Okay. Now I'm going to build this rock pattern in here. It's kind of a slight rock patterns, stepping stones up into our lighthouse. So to do that, I'm going to take a little mixture of brown and I think I'm going to add some green to this. I want to build these like they're kind of half circles. First I take this very dark, I clean the brush up, and with clear water I pull back. That gives me a nice shadow pattern. I've added a little bit of blue to this, and I'll take another half circle, maybe I'll make one over here too, and up here. Clean my brush out, and then pull back. So I've got a stronger color at the bottom of here, and lighter along the top. I'll put another one here. Okay, then it gets, again, I'll take some clear water, pull that all back. This is a little bit of indigo. Once again, clear water, pull it back, a little bit of green with the sepia. And once again, clear water, drag it back. I don't want to lose all my white spaces in there. Okay, we're going to leave that a little in a minute. I'll just add a couple more. I used to, when I lived in Maine for 3 years, and I used to climb up these rocks going into the headlight house in Maine. I was fortunate, I was there for about 3 years. It seemed every weekend I'd be down by the lighthouses. There's one in Elizabeth. Of course, there's many throughout Portland. If you go up and down the coast highway, you pick up a lot of different beautiful lighthouses. And as I said, on the weekends, I used to love to go downtown Portland. We lived in a place called New Gloucester, Maine. On the weekends, I'd go down to a place called Becky's. And it was a wonderful little restaurant, good breakfast restaurant and good seafood restaurant. If you went there on almost any day, but in the weekends or during lunch hour any day, you may be sitting at the counter and you'll be sitting next to could be a fisherman, could be a lawyer, could be a marketing manager like I was when I was over there. So you'd meet anybody, and presidents used to go there. They used to campaign. They'd make a campaign stop, like Bush, W. Bush, and George Herbert Walker Bush. They used to go there and have a nice breakfast or lunch. The Bushes they had a compound, Kennebunport, that they spent a lot of their time with. So, but they'd make some campaign trips over there when it was that season. Let's add a little bit of a window into our buildings. We'll build our chimneys. This is where the lighthouse keeper would go to keep warm, of course. Then we'll take a flat inch brush and we'll just build some riggedy fence patterns here. You could use sepia, you could use your indigo. You decide which colors you'd want. And you're using a flat brush for this. This is not a lot of protection for that lighthouse, but I guess it's some. So let's go over on to the right side here. And we'll start building a little bit of our tree pattern in here. So we take a little line. We don't want them very straight. We want them nice and, you know, these trees over in Maine, they've seen a lot of harsh winters. So they wouldn't be very straight. But we take it and then we do kind of a zigzag stroke across here. Yeah, zigzaggy. And we put in keep putting in a little bit of blues and greens and darks. Put in some little friends for this tree over here. Maybe we have a little space in between here. This is probably one of those harsh Maine weathers, and you know, he didn't grow too much that year. Okay. Put another value across our first one. There we have our nice little trees. Let's put a little center section on these posts so they don't fall over. We'll come in the upper portion here and put a little bit of our, let me see a little bit of the water up in here. When you are in these lighthouses, especially the head lighthouse in Maine, you look out and you're looking out in the ocean, and you look across it and you just think how the ships would have sailed, i.e. the Mayflower, or one of those ships would have been coming, or the British to come to attack America way back in the day. So you look out in that vast sea, and you have the seagulls that are out there, and you hear them you hear them in the distance and overhead, and it's really wonderful to hear that sound. And of course, if you start feeding them, you'll have a lot of friends. Too many. You'll be running for cover. We want to get some darks underneath these rocks. We want to kind of indicate a bit of cracks in here. These rocks have seen lots of action. As I said, during the wars, they would have been climbing up these rocks. Now, if we take just a little bit of our blue, and we'll do the lighthouse, and I take just the edge. I've got a strong color on the edge. Then I take my water, make my brush with the clear water, and I just pull that across. Softening it. Up it all the way on, around it, and at the base. Now, we can come up top and start building. This is the rigger liner brush. Suggest some nice rails that go around it. Come at top here. And then we will build a little ball up top here. And put some more rails in here so it doesn't fall through. Put a little bit of yellow, orange. Build a little bit of light. Top. Just dab a little bit of red in it. And I'll just soften it with a tissue. Put another value. And then we'll put a little more value in our foreground. We'll start building some greens down here. And again, we're looking at the lay of the land. So I want it to be a little bit of a hill type motion. And we'll keep building. I'm using a little bit of a dry brush now. Nice dry brush, so I get a little bit of this breaking action. Ground our rock area. Keep building our foreground. Maine is a wonderful place to visit. Great vacation place. You can go just for the food. The fish and the lobster. Blueberry pie, fresh blueberry pie. Strengthen some of these rocks. Sometimes it's nice to, on these rocks, to splatter a little bit. So I'm going to I have a splatter brush. I'm just going to flick a little bit of splatter into my rack area. If a little bit comes down into my metal area, then I can just put some clear water, take it off. I'm going to add a little more value into these buildings. And then I'm going to take my thinnest liner brush, coming up here with our dark brown, and we're going to indicate a little bit of cracks. Because, you know, these lighthouses can be pretty old. And soften this a little bit. Base, we'll strengthen the base a little bit. Then I'll just tap it. Take a little more brown, put another rail. Strengthen our windows. A little bit darks on top of the roof area, and once again I'll draw them down. I like to sometimes put some purples, violets into the paintings. And once again, with clear water, draw them out. I'm going to take a little bit more of my orange. Strengthen our roof. And we'll take some more of our sepias, darks, indigo. We'll put a couple little birds in here. Some of those noisy seagulls. Waiting for the fishermen to come in. Where they can clean their fish on the dock, and then our good old seagulls can take the remains of the cleaning. With our small rigger brush, we can flick up some grassy areas. We'll come back with a blue, and we can just put another value across our ocean. It's a good idea to, if you can, stand back. Go back a couple, 2-3 feet, maybe 4 feet, and look at your painting to see what other details you'd like to add to it. Give them little handrails that you can climb up. Okay, we'll put another value up top here, top on the roof. And once again, keep on standing back, looking at your painting. See what you want to put in. A few more cracks. And maybe this is a good time that you sign your painting. Stop before you, watercolors, you want to make them. You want to give the viewer something to think about. You don't have to tell every detail in it. Let their mind take over. So there, I think you have a nice watercolor here. I'm going to take the tape off. then I'm going to put on one of our mats to just see what it would look like. Oh, let's put that on here. So there we go. There's our happy little lighthouse. I hope you enjoyed it. We have a lot more, so when you get a chance, go on our channel or YouTube channel and see the other ones. Thank you for watching this. Have a good weekend. Take care. This is Robert. Goodbye.